Ramiro's comments on the 7-year-old for just a second. And only because I've worked on the church manual back at the General Conference on several sessions. And it would be very rare that any age would come in on a lot of the topics that the church manual discusses, mainly because the criteria that the church manual uses is whether that person is a church member. And the reason there is wisdom in that criteria is because to become a church member is not something that is done lightly. In fact, it is a decision a lot of times between the pastor, in the case of children, with the pastor and parents, and in some churches it's even pastor, parent, and church board, depending on the congregation. And as someone who's worked with children all my life, I just want to also share that of all the ages, we see the most baptisms in the realm of youth and children in the ages of 7, 8, and 9, which is our primary division. Not only because at that point they could read and write, but for some reason that age is one of the most genuine ages and where children fall in love with the Lord. And so I think it's exciting and to be applauded when we see a 7-year-old deciding to follow the Lord. If a child can make the decision to accept the church principles, the church doctrine, and follow the Lord, that to me is the largest decision in life. Any other topic discussed at a church business meeting is very, very low on the scope of priorities that anyone can decide or vote on, because they have made such a high and most important vote, a vote to follow Christ. Any other topic at a business meeting is minuscule compared to that, and that makes them competent and qualified to be at that business meeting. And if more of our churches had 7-year-olds at those business meetings, or involved in their deaconess program or any other ministry, our church would be a different church. Our tithe would be a different type of tithe, and our schools would be a different type of school. So, sister, I want you to embrace those 7-year-olds and congratulate them for being at that business meeting. It's true, you'll weigh their reasoning and comments according to their age, but doubtful that any business meeting will be overrun by 7-year-olds. You know, they're probably just a few. And I think it's exciting. And if you have that situation in your church, amen for that. The second comment I wanted to make is, could we have maybe about the November session a report by Vice President Gillum that maybe targets a little bit of some of the plans. I was excited to see that A Cradle to Crown is the first on the initiatives, and that the education issue is also second on the initiatives. I'm sure that those of us who are passionate about Adventist education and work endlessly in that area and children's ministries, as well as the delegates, would be anxious to hear a few more details, maybe by November, that kind of doesn't just say enrollment is down, but has some specific plans on how to turn that around. At a recent Pacific Union Conference session, we actually had some targets that we did with the Pacific Union Conference that will help. And there are some schools, such as Mountain View Academy, who had low enrollment for years and has turned that around. So we offer that also as solutions. But I think the delegates and even the membership in general would be excited to know if there will be some more specifics.
Thank you very much for that. In fact, for those of you who will go into the internet or you receive the report, you will notice that on the agenda, for the first time in memory, you will see that there's an education report that's going to be done at the constituency.
Let me just add to that too. The thought was that education is so important. Let's not make it at the end of the day. It follows, my understanding, Mr. President, it follows the President's report. Very, giving it high significance.
I don't know if you're noticing a trend here today, but you will notice that a lot of the things we're doing is we're bringing the education department to a higher prominence. They are now they're going to be a voting member. The bylaws are being changed to allow for the Vice President of Education to now be a voting member of the Executive Committee. They're being included in the constituency session as part of the agenda, right next to the President's report. So we are recognizing the value and the need and the importance of our education program, and we want to turn this thing around. It has to start from the top. We have got to change attitudes and the way we run our system. And so he has a seat at the table. In fact, some of the changes in the bylaws that you saw regarding the officers, the executive officers and all that, a lot of those changes came about because we were bringing the education vice president as part of the officers, which was never officially done by bylaws and constitution. So we are giving its due attention and prominence to this very important area of our ministry. Who's got the mic?